In every great conflict, there is a hidden war unfolding, far from the roar of guns, where minds clash in silence and battles are fought with calculations, intercepted messages, and fragile lines of code that decide the fate of entire nations. This unseen struggle turns chalkboards, typewriters, and decoding machines into weapons more powerful than artillery, revealing that the true victory often belongs not to the army with the most soldiers, but to the one with the smartest thinkers working in the shadows. Throughout history, espionage and intelligence have shaped the course of wars by turning information into the most decisive weapon, allowing nations to foresee enemy moves, disrupt strategies, and manipulate outcomes long before a single shot is fired, making the silent analysts behind locked doors just as crucial as the generals on the battlefield. From early cipher systems and human spy networks to advanced code-breaking teams and intelligence agencies, this hidden realm of strategic thinking has guided major decisions, prevented catastrophic surprises, and revealed that the real battle for dominance often takes place not on the front lines but within the minds of those who can decode, anticipate, and outmaneuver their opponents through the power of knowledge and secrecy. The story of intelligence and code-breaking begins long before modern wars, rooted in the ancient belief that information can transform weakness into power, even without a single weapon being drawn. And this truth shaped the earliest forms of across civilizations. Rulers understood that victory often depended not just on armies but on the ability to anticipate what others planned to do before they acted, creating a foundation for intelligence as a central tool of state. Those responsible for gathering and protecting secrets were often invisible within their societies, yet they held influence that rivaled generals and advisors. Their work established the fundamental idea that knowledge, when used strategically, becomes a form of strength capable of reshaping the outcome of conflicts. As history progressed, techniques for gathering information grew more sophisticated, moving from simple rumors and spy messengers to encoded messages that attempted to hide meaning beneath symbols. The earliest ciphers were primitive, but effective, for their time, offering rulers the confidence that their commands could travel across distances without being immediately understood by rivals. These early systems represented the first real battle across the chalkboard, where the ability to disguise or reveal truth became as vital as the ability to wield a sword. It was here that the seeds of future intelligence warfare were planted, demonstrating how secrecy could alter the balance of power. During the classical era, empires like Rome, Persia, and China developed more formal systems of espionage to ensure they could track threats, uncover conspiracies, and predict the intentions of neighboring states. These networks included informants, scouts, and diplomatic observers whose primary role was to turn raw observations into actionable insights. Though primitive by modern standards, these early networks were essential to keeping empires stable and prepared for sudden hostilities. The idea that information could prevent catastrophic mistakes or expose hidden dangers became deeply embedded in the governing philosophy of ancient states. By the medieval period, intelligence had evolved into a recognized tool of warfare, often involving disguised agents, encoded letters, and elaborate methods for passing messages across enemy lines. Kings and military leaders used spies to track the movements of rivals, gauge the strength of armies, and uncover political schemes that threatened their stability. Religious institutions also played a significant role by preserving encryption knowledge and sometimes facilitating clandestine exchanges between distant regions. As political competition grew, so too did the demand for reliable intelligence, reinforcing the idea that secrecy was inseparable from power. The Renaissance brought a dramatic advancement in cryptography as scholars, mathematicians, and diplomats began to create more complex systems for hiding information. Newly developed codes relied on structured patterns that could not be easily guessed, and this shift created a new class of intellectual strategists who specialized in protecting or exposing secrets. Cities like Venice built extensive intelligence networks that used these systems to maintain commercial and military dominance across Europe. This era laid the groundwork for the shift from simple encryption to scientific cryptanalysis, where understanding patterns became a primary method of breaking opponent messages. As European empires expanded globally, the competition for trade routes, territory, and influence created the need for improved espionage capabilities. Colonial powers relied on local informants, encoded naval reports, and secret diplomatic instructions to maintain control over far-reaching territories. Conflicts like the Napoleonic Wars highlighted the growing importance of signal intelligence, as armies relied heavily on intercepted dispatches to predict enemy plans. The increasing speed of communication made intelligence gathering both more urgent and more influential, driving nations to invest heavily in better methods of protecting and uncovering information. By the 19th century, The telegraph revolutionized communication and fundamentally changed how intelligence functioned by making messages faster, but also more vulnerable to interception. Because telegraph lines often crossed great distances, they created opportunities for rival nations to tap into networks and retrieve critical information. This shift led to the birth of professional intelligence units, whose primary mission was to decode, analyze, and exploit communications sent through emerging electronic channels. The battlefield of the mind was expanding, and the chalkboard of analysis became central to military planning. As industrialization advanced, warfare became more complex, requiring armies to coordinate vast numbers of troops, supplies, and technologies across multiple fronts. This complexity generated even larger volumes of information, which in turn created opportunities for intelligence analysts to influence strategic decisions by uncovering enemy weaknesses hidden within communication patterns. Gathering and interpreting data became a discipline that required mathematical precision, linguistic expertise, and an understanding of human psychology. These skills transformed intelligence offices into intellectual command centers, where crucial decisions were shaped. The early 20th century marked a turning point as new technologies, like radio transmissions, created a flood of interceptable communications that changed the nature of intelligence forever. Messages that once traveled slowly by courier now moved instantly through invisible waves, making them both more useful and more vulnerable. Nations quickly realized that whoever mastered radio interception could gain insight into enemy movements without ever setting foot near the battlefield. This development shifted intelligence from being a supplementary tool to becoming a fundamental part of strategic warfare. During World War I, codebreaking emerged as one of the most powerful weapons available to nations struggling for advantage in a conflict defined by trench warfare and stalemates. One of the most significant achievements was the interception and decoding of the Zimmermann telegram, which revealed Germany's attempt to form an alliance against the United States. This discovery altered the course of the war by influencing American entry, proving that messages intercepted in silence could trigger massive geopolitical shifts. Intelligence offices became essential institutions, proving their ability to influence events at the highest level. The success of intelligence operations during World War I encouraged nations to develop permanent cryptographic departments dedicated to improving both offensive and defensive capabilities. These departments recruited mathematicians, linguists, and technically skilled individuals whose minds became tools of national security. The agencies studied enemy patterns, created new encryption systems, and refined analytical methods that would later become crucial during larger and more complex conflicts. As their capabilities grew, the perception of intelligence shifted from a mysterious art to a structured science. Between the world wars, many nations underestimated the importance of maintaining strong intelligence programs, believing that the end of major conflict would reduce the need for cryptographic expertise. Yet a few countries, particularly those anticipating the possibility of future war, continued building their intelligence infrastructures quietly. They invested in research on new machines, interception networks, and analysis techniques that would give them an advantage when tensions inevitably resurfaced. This forward-thinking approach would prove decisive once global conflict erupted again. Manuel. The growing use of mechanical encryption devices introduced new complexities into the intelligence landscape. Machines like the German Enigma sought to automate the process of creating unbreakable codes, making traditional manual methods of cryptanalysis nearly obsolete. These machines displayed the shifting nature of the battle of wits, as now machines and human intellect engaged in a combined struggle for supremacy. The evolution set the stage for a monumental conflict between those who created secret systems and those who sought to dismantle them. Intelligence gathering during this period involved not only cryptography but an increasing reliance on human sources, technological surveillance, and strategic deception. Spies infiltrated diplomatic circles. Radio operators intercepted foreign broadcasts, and analysts pieced together fragments of information to create a clear picture of enemy intentions. These diverse methods required unprecedented cooperation across different branches of government and military. The foundation for complex modern intelligence agencies was firmly laid, and their influence grew with each passing year. As tensions rose globally, intelligence officers recognized that future wars would require centralized coordination of information from multiple sources. Governments began establishing structured agencies capable of managing both offensive and defensive intelligence operations. Analysts developed standardized methods for evaluating data, cross-referencing information, and detecting misleading signals designed to confuse or misguide them. The work became a continuous mental battle, with every message representing potential danger or opportunity. These developments formed the intellectual battlefield that would become critical when World War II erupted, marking the beginning of the most significant expansion of intelligence work the world had ever seen. Every nation involved in the conflict understood that controlling information held the key to surviving an era marked by rapid technological change and unprecedented global coordination. The stage was set for a code-breaking revolution powered by brilliant minds, advanced machines, and relentless analytical pressure. This transformation would soon redefine warfare itself, proving that the most decisive victories often begin not on the battlefield but in secret rooms filled with chalkboards and scattered cipher sheets. When World War II began, intelligence operations expanded rapidly as nations realized that traditional military strength could not compensate for the dangers posed by encrypted communications and hidden strategies. Governments understood that the ability to intercept and break enemy codes could shorten battles, prevent disasters, and create opportunities for decisive action. This understanding led to the rapid development of specialized centers, dedicated entirely to analyzing enemy signals around the clock. These centers became intellectual battlegrounds where mathematicians, linguists, engineers, and strategists collaborated to outsmart opponents whose secrets were buried behind complex ciphers. The Allies recognized that success depended on building a collective intelligence infrastructure capable of processing massive volumes of intercepted messages. Radio operators stationed across continents captured enemy transmissions and funneled them to code-breaking teams who searched for patterns within seemingly random symbols. Every transmission became a potential clue that could expose troop movements, supply schedules, or critical weaknesses that could be exploited. This system demonstrated how information, once properly organized and interpreted, transformed into a weapon as powerful as any artillery barrage. Nowhere was this more evident than at Bletchley Park, the British code-breaking center that became the heart of the Allied intelligence effort. Here, brilliant minds such as Alan Turing and his colleagues worked tirelessly to design methods and machines capable of reducing the staggering complexity of German encrypted communications. Their work required innovation, persistence, and the ability to understand mathematical structures hidden within constantly changing cipher systems. As their breakthroughs accumulated, the Allies gained unprecedented insight into enemy plans and movements. The German military relied heavily on the Enigma machine, an encryption device widely believed to be unbreakable due to its vast number of possible configurations. Each message encrypted by Enigma passed through several rotating components that altered the substitution pattern with every keystroke, creating a constantly shifting code. German operators placed immense faith in this system, convinced that no enemy could penetrate such complexity. This confidence created a dangerous vulnerability, as over-reliance on technology blinded them to the possibility of human ingenuity overcoming mechanical superiority. The effort to break Enigma required not only advanced mathematics but also a deep understanding of human behavior, since small operator mistakes often created openings for codebreak. Analysts studied patterns in message structure, repeated phrases, and predictable habits of radio operators who sometimes reused keys or transmitted messages with shortcuts. These small errors provided starting points for the massive computational effort needed to unlock encrypted text. Once patterns were identified, machines known as bombs were used to process potential key combinations at unprecedented speed. Throughout the war, Bletchley Park refined its methods to keep pace with German attempts to strengthen their encryption systems. Each improvement made by the German side demanded new strategies, more advanced machines, and expanded analytical skills from the Allied codebreakers. The process became a constant intellectual duel between codemakers and codebreakers, with each day potentially altering the momentum of the war. This dynamic highlighted the evolving nature of intelligence, where victory hinged on the ability to think faster and adapt sooner than the enemy. Breaking Enigma had enormous strategic consequences, especially in the Battle of the Atlantic, where German U-boats threatened to sever supply lines critical to the survival of Britain. With decrypted communications, Allied forces gained insight into submarine movements and convoy attack plans, enabling them to reroute ships and deploy escorts more effectively. This advantage gradually reduced Allied losses and shifted the balance of power at sea. Intelligence, therefore, played a crucial role in safeguarding vital resources and maintaining the strength of nations engaged in global conflict. However, the Allies understood that decrypting messages alone was not enough. They also needed to prevent the enemy from discovering that their codes had been compromised. This required carefully controlled use of intelligence, ensuring that intercepted information was acted upon only when alternative explanations could conceal the true source. Strategic deception became an essential component of intelligence operations, preventing the enemy from adjusting their communication methods. Such caution ensured that the advantage gained through codebreaking remained effective throughout the war. One of the most significant deception efforts was Operation Bodyguard, designed to mislead German forces about the location and timing of the Allied invasion of Western Europe. By feeding false information through double agents, fake radio traffic, and fictitious military units. The Allies obscured their true intentions and kept German commanders guessing. This deception created the illusion of multiple invasion possibilities, stretching German defenses thin and reducing their ability to respond effectively to the actual D-Day landings. Intelligence thus served as both shield and sword, shaping the battlefield long before troops arrived. The success of Operation Bodyguard illustrated how psychological manipulation and controlled misinformation could achieve outcomes that brute force alone could not accomplish. Allied planners used detailed knowledge of German intelligence processes to craft false narratives that appeared entirely plausible to enemy analysts. This understanding allowed them to predict how the Germans would interpret fabricated data and ensured that misleading information aligned with their expectations. The operation revealed that winning the war of perception was just as important as winning the war of firepower. On the American side, intelligence agencies worked tirelessly to break Japanese communications, leading to breakthroughs such as the decoding of the purple cipher used by Japanese diplomats. American cryptanalysts developed machines capable of replicating Purple's encryption process, allowing them to read diplomatic messages even before some Japanese officials received them. This insight helped the United States understand Japan's strategic intentions, though it did not always provide clear warnings about specific military actions. Still, the ability to read high-level communications gave the Allies an invaluable advantage in navigating the complexities of the Pacific conflict. One of the most famous intelligence successes in the Pacific was the cracking of Japanese naval codes that revealed the planned attack on Midway. Armed with this knowledge, the United States positioned its forces to ambush the Japanese fleet, resulting in a decisive victory that shifted the momentum of the war. This outcome demonstrated that intelligence, when correctly interpreted and acted upon, could alter the course of large-scale military campaigns. The battle became a prime example of how strategic insight can triumph over numerical superiority. Yet intelligence operations during this time were not limited to code-breaking, as human intelligence continued to play a vital role in gathering essential information. Spies infiltrated enemy institutions, resistance fighters provided critical observations from occupied territories, and interrogation of captured personnel offered insights into enemy logistics and morale. These diverse human sources complemented signals intelligence by providing context and verification for intercepted data. Together, they created a more accurate and comprehensive understanding of enemy capabilities and intentions. The complexity of intelligence during World War II required coordination across continents, making collaboration between allied nations indispensable. British and American agencies shared breakthroughs, exchanged intercepted communications, and jointly developed analytical methods that strengthened their combined efforts. This cooperation ensured that useful intelligence was quickly transformed into strategic action that supported military operations across multiple theaters. The integration of information across national boundaries marked the beginning of a new era in global intelligence collaboration. While Allied intelligence thrived on cooperation and innovation, many Axis intelligence services suffered from fragmentation, overconfidence, and internal distrust. German intelligence agencies competed for influence rather than working together, often withholding information that could have strengthened collective efforts. Furthermore, the belief that their encryption systems were impenetrable discouraged them from adopting necessary security improvements. These weaknesses allowed Allied intelligence agencies to exploit vulnerabilities more effectively. The increasing success of Allied intelligence demonstrated that warfare had changed in fundamental ways that elevated analytical thinking to the center of strategic planning. Commanders made crucial decisions based not only on battlefield reconnaissance, but also on deciphered messages. Intelligence reports and assessments of enemy intentions formed through meticulous analysis. Intelligence thus became a primary factor in determining where and when battles would occur, as well as how they would unfold. The war became an ongoing contest of anticipation, decision-making, and mental endurance. As the war neared its end, intelligence agencies began preparing for the post-war world by evaluating emerging threats, analyzing shifting power dynamics, and preserving technological knowledge gained during years of intense conflict. Many intelligence experts recognized that the struggle for information would continue, even after the guns fell silent, because nations still sought advantage in a rapidly changing global environment. The breakthroughs in cryptography, interception, and analysis had created a foundation for future intelligence work that would extend far beyond wartime needs. This preparation laid the groundwork for the intelligence structures that would soon dominate the Cold War era. As World War II ended, the global landscape transformed rapidly, and intelligence agencies recognized that the struggle for information would not diminish, but instead take on new forms, shaped by emerging political rivalries. The collapse of old alliances and the rise of ideological competition created an environment where every nation sought to protect its interests through secrecy, surveillance, and strategic analysis. Governments realized that information could prevent conflicts just as easily as it could ignite them, making intelligence an essential tool of diplomacy and security. This period marked the beginning of a world where the most critical battles were fought, not on open fields, but in the shadows of strategic observation. The Cold War brought unprecedented expansion in intelligence capabilities as nations built large, highly structured agencies designed to gather and interpret information on a global scale. Rival superpowers understood that the consequences of miscalculation were now far greater due to the existence of nuclear weapons, making reliable intelligence a matter of survival. As a result, intelligence organizations employed advanced technology, extensive human networks, and analytical techniques to monitor political, military, and scientific developments. This era transformed intelligence work into a vast, multi-layered enterprise that influenced nearly every major international decision. During this period, signals intelligence advanced dramatically as radio interception evolved into sophisticated systems capable of tracking encrypted transmissions across continents. Nations deployed listening posts, satellites, and specialized aircraft to gather information from hostile territories without crossing physical borders. This capability allowed analysts to monitor troop movements, missile tests, and diplomatic exchanges in near real time. The ability to collect and interpret signals from afar became a cornerstone of global strategic awareness. One of the most significant developments in Cold War intelligence was the creation of spy satellites that could capture detailed images of military installations and infrastructure. These satellites provided visual evidence of weapons development, troop deployments, and industrial capabilities, reducing the uncertainty that often led to conflict escalation. Photographic intelligence offered a level of verification that neither diplomacy nor human reporting could match. This technological leap changed how nations perceived each other and influenced negotiations by providing undeniable evidence of capabilities and intentions. Human intelligence continued to play a crucial role during the Cold War, often involving high-risk operations carried out by undercover agents, informants, and defectors embedded within rival governments. These individuals provided insights into political decisions, scientific programs, and internal disputes that were impossible to capture through machines alone. Their contributions helped shape foreign policy, prevent misunderstandings, and identify threats before they escalated into crises. The courage and skill of these operatives often determined whether critical information reached decision-makers in time. Espionage became a defining feature of Cold War culture, with iconic stories of double agents, secret exchanges, and daring infiltrations, capturing public imagination. Rival agencies used deception, psychological manipulation, and recruitment strategies to gain access to sensitive information. The pursuit of valuable human assets became a complex game where success depended on understanding not only strategic goals but also personal motivations. These efforts revealed the deeply human dimension of intelligence work, where trust and betrayal shaped the course of global events. The Cuban Missile Crisis highlighted the immense value of accurate intelligence, as surveillance photographs revealed Soviet missile installations in Cuba that threatened the balance of power. Analysts quickly interpreted these images and provided leaders with critical information that shaped diplomatic negotiations during a tense and dangerous standoff. Without the insight gained through intelligence collection, decision-makers would have faced far greater uncertainty in determining appropriate responses. This event demonstrated how intelligence could prevent catastrophic conflict by illuminating hidden realities. Intelligence agencies also played key roles in monitoring nuclear proliferation, using advanced detection technologies to track tests, production facilities, and research programs. These efforts were essential for maintaining strategic stability, as nations needed reliable information to assess the capabilities of rival powers. Through monitoring and analysis, agencies ensured that diplomatic efforts were grounded in accurate assessments rather than speculation or misinformation. This constant vigilance became an essential aspect of maintaining global peace. As the Cold War continued, nations developed increasingly sophisticated methods for protecting their own secrets, including improved encryption devices, secure communication channels, and counterintelligence strategies. These measures made it more difficult for rival agencies to penetrate secure networks or recruit valuable sources. The battle between intelligence and counterintelligence became a contest of adaptation, where every breakthrough prompted new defenses. This dynamic reflected the endless nature of information warfare, where neither side could afford complacency. The rise of computing technology began to transform intelligence operations by offering faster processing, improved storage, and enhanced analytical capabilities. Computers made it possible to analyze vast quantities of data that would have overwhelmed human analysts, revealing patterns and connections that were previously invisible. These technological advancements reduced the time required to decode messages, process imagery, and cross-reference information from multiple sources. This evolution marked the beginning of an era where digital tools became integral to intelligence success. By the late 20th century, cyberintelligence emerged as a new frontier, with nations exploring ways to infiltrate digital networks, disrupt communication systems, and protect their own infrastructure from attack. Unlike traditional espionage, cyber operations did not require physical presence, allowing agents to gather data remotely and covertly. This shift expanded the scope of intelligence beyond borders and created new vulnerabilities within increasingly interconnected societies. As communication and storage moved online, the battleground shifted from radio waves and paper trails to digital footprints and encrypted servers. The end of the Cold War did not reduce the importance of intelligence. Instead, new global challenges emerged that demanded rapid adaptation. Conflicts became more decentralized, involving non-state actors, extremist groups, and rapidly evolving technological threats that required new methods of observation and analysis. Intelligence agencies broadened their focus to include financial tracking, social dynamics, and digital communication patterns. This expanded scope required interdisciplinary expertise that blended technology, sociology, and geopolitics. Modern intelligence relies heavily on data aggregation, advanced algorithms, and artificial intelligence to sift through massive digital information streams. These tools allow analysts to identify trends, predict behaviors, and uncover hidden networks that might otherwise remain invisible. With the ability to process enormous datasets in real time, intelligence agencies can respond more quickly to threats and opportunities. This transformation represents a continuation of the pattern where technological innovation reshapes the very nature of intelligence work. At the same time, human intelligence remains essential because technology cannot fully replicate human judgment, intuition, or emotional understanding. Field agents, analysts, and informants continue to provide unique insights that machines cannot generate, especially in contexts involving cultural nuances or interpersonal dynamics. The best intelligence operations integrate human expertise with technological capability, creating a balanced approach that maximizes the strengths of both. This partnership between human insight and digital precision defines the modern intelligence landscape. Cybersecurity has become a central concern as nations confront the growing threat of cyber attacks targeting infrastructure, financial systems, and government databases. Intelligence agencies now work closely with private companies to secure networks, detect intrusions, and respond to breaches before they escalate. This collaboration reflects the interconnectedness of modern society, where vulnerabilities in one sector can quickly impact others. The integration of public and private resources has strengthened defensive capabilities in an increasingly digital world. Modern codebreaking involves advanced mathematical models, quantum computing research, and complex cryptographic systems designed to protect sensitive communications. Nations invest heavily in developing algorithms capable of resisting sophisticated attacks while exploring methods to penetrate rival encryption systems. The race between encryption and decryption echoes the battles of earlier eras, but now operates at far greater speed and complexity. This ongoing struggle underscores the enduring importance of securing information in a world defined by rapid communication. Intelligence agencies today face challenges that include misinformation campaigns, digital deception, and the rapid spread of false narratives capable of influencing public opinion. Analysts must evaluate not only the accuracy of information, but also its origin, intent, and potential impact on global stability. This requires a deep understanding of social behavior, psychological manipulation, and communication dynamics. The battlefield of intelligence has expanded to include the realm of perception, where ideas themselves become tools of influence. Despite these challenges, the fundamental principles of intelligence remain consistent with those established centuries ago, emphasizing the need to gather information, interpret it accurately, and use it strategically to shape outcomes. Whether through advanced technology or human insight, intelligence continues to exert a profound influence on global affairs. The ability to anticipate threats, understand adversaries, and recognize opportunities remains critical to maintaining peace and security. This continuity reflects the enduring relevance of intelligence across generations. As intelligence continues to evolve, the lessons of the past serve as a reminder that even the most sophisticated systems depend on human decision-making and ethical judgment. Nations must balance the pursuit of security with respect for privacy, international norms, and the long-term consequences of strategic choices. The future of intelligence will be shaped by the ability to navigate these tensions, while adapting to rapid technological change. Ultimately, the battle of wits that began with chalkboards and coded messages now extends into digital realms. But its purpose remains the same: to illuminate truth in a world filled with uncertainty. The long contest of intelligence, code breaking, and strategic deception reveals that wars are not only fought with armies, but with minds. Because the fate of nations often rests not on the roar of artillery, but on the silent triumphs of analysts who decipher patterns, anticipate enemy ambitions, and reshape the battlefield before a single shot is fired, demonstrating that the greatest victories frequently belong to those who can transform fragments of information into decisive clarity, and use that clarity to guide commanders through the fog and chaos that define global conflict. This enduring truth becomes even more vivid when we recognize how each encrypted transmission, intercepted message, and deciphered secret represents a struggle of imagination, discipline, and intellectual endurance. For the power to understand the hidden intentions of an adversary not only protects lives but also influences the broader course of history, reminding us that the real strength of a nation lies not only in its armies and machines, but in the brilliance of its thinkers, the determination of its intelligence officers, and the unyielding pursuit of knowledge that forms the invisible shield guarding every front line, every decision, and every hope for peace across a world shaped by the relentless interplay of secrecy and revelation.